Okay, this is an exercise you guys solved. So now I'm explaining this game. Um, Basically, what this is a talk about the relationship between the government and the central bank. Actually, I just changed the terms. Here, the first player is the government, and the second player is the central bank. Usually, government and central bank can affect an economy with their own policies. For example, government can do a fiscal policy like spending more money to build bridge, road, harbor, and so on and so on. And central bank usually can use a monetary policy. Monetary policy is to adjust the supply of the money by several ways. I mean, central bank can do a lot of things, but here, central bank can choose a high interest rate and low interest rate. For example, if the central bank chooses the high interest rate, then more money will be deposited to the bank. So in an economy, less money will be floating around. So it's like that. If the high interest rate is chosen by the central bank, then inflation will be a little bit mitigated. Usually, the main goal of the central bank is to mitigate inflation and make the inflation is very stable. That is the main goal. I mean, to do that, setting the interest rate is very major tool to do that. On the other hand, usually government, also Congress, will have a different goal about the money. Usually, they will face an election every several 4 or 5 years, so they need to spend more money to make the citizens favored. So because they care about how the preference of the voters, they just try to spend more money all the time. By doing that, they can get more votes from voters. So usually, government prefer spending more money between budget balance and uh, budget deficit, or maybe spend more money. So government increases government spending. So usually, government prefer spending more money than budget balance. So 4 is greater than 3, regardless of the central bank's strategy. I mean, spending more money is better than 1. At the same time, from the government's view, they prefer low interest rate. Why? Think about that. I mean, when the interest rate is low, economy will be more stimulated. For example, firms can invest more money, more things because the interest is low, so they can borrow more money from the bank and can invest. That then the economy will be more boomed up. So all the time, low interest rate is better for the government. Okay. However, central banks, so that low interest rate is better than high interest rate for the government. So 3 is greater than 1, 4 is greater than 2. But for the central bank, the main goal is not the voters because they are not chosen by the voters. Okay? So what they are mostly interested in is about inflation. I mean, they are also caring about other things, but inflation rate is one very important factor they are caring about. So, however, if the economy is okay, they also prefer to choose low interest rate as long as economy is okay. However, government spends a lot of money to an economy, probably a lot of money is floating around in an economy, it means it's very highly likely that inflation will rise. Okay? So that they really hate some cases that inflation will rise when the government spends a lot of money and the interest rate is low, is very highly likely. So that they really hate that situation from the central bank's view. However, if they don't spend too much of money so that government budget is balanced in that situation, well, that's also think that low interest rate is better than high interest rate. Why? Because the money is okay in an economy. If the interest rate is low, then economy will be more stimulated to go up. So as long as the government don't spend a lot of money to an economy, they also prefer to low interest rate. However, if they spend a lot of money and the interest rate is low, it results in rise in inflation. That is the worst scenario that the central bank thinks. Okay. Again, but in a different, think about different situation. Okay, the government if the government don't spend money, then if the interest rate is also high, then well, it's likely that economy will be shrinked. Okay, because there's no money from the government, and also interest rate is very high, so that there's no chance that firms can invest the money. So that is also not good situation compared to the, I'm sorry, 4 and 3, compared to the low interest rate. And but if we compare those two cases, well, if the government spend a lot of money, but in that case, central bank thinks that set higher interest rate to mitigate the possibility of rising inflation. So 2 is better than 1. Also, if there's a high interest rate, then they also prefer that the balance is budget. So that, this kind of number actually is talking about the preference of policy from each players. Okay? Then in that situation, well, we can find an equilibrium based on ISDS or Nash equilibrium. Well, from the government's view, if the central bank is choosing low, it's better to choose spending more money. And high interest rate means that also government spends more money. So all the time, government choose to prefer to choose spending more money. So that is dominating strategy than the budget balanced strategies. Okay, all the time government prefer this strategy. Then central bank believes that government will be rational, then central bank will choose a high interest rate. So at the end of the day, an equilibrium based on IESDS, even though a Nash equilibrium, actually an equilibrium is that government is choosing spending more money and the central bank is choosing a high interest rate. So that is what is happening. Well, it may not reflect the real world situation. However, the reason, also already you get to that result, that's fine. But the reason why I'm giving you this example is that we can make a model to reflect or illustrate a real world example. Here you can see the interaction between the government and the central bank. Usually we can use different models to illustrate their behavior. At the same time, if we are interested in those two players' interaction, we can make a model like that. Okay, again, if you are interested in, some kind of fluctuation of interest rate or inflation rate, depending on how the central bank is choosing about interest rate, then you can make a regression model or time series model. That's fine. However, sometimes you may be interested in the interaction between those two players, like central bank and government. In this situation, it may be better to make a simple game model because you are interested in interactions. Then you can build up like that. Then you can expect what's happening. Government will spend more money because of elections, but central bank also knows that government behavior. So with that expectation, central bank will choose a high interest rate. That makes sense. Okay, the reason why I'm giving you those kind of example, maybe already what we've learned here, we can make a simple model for your idea. Okay, and also this is one example of normal phone game because there are two players, they have strategies, and we have payouts. Okay, now I'm moving to another one. Okay, let's continue. In the previous lecture, I explained the chrono game. I'm continuing about the chrono game. Again, here's a demand curve. P equals to 100 minus Q. Here, this Q is the market quantity, and there are two players, QA and QB, and their marginal cost of production is 30. And we found that their best response function is QA. I'm going to use a star here. I'm going to put the star here as a superscript to represent that this is a player A is the best response. What was that? I think that was 35. Sorry. 35, yes, minus a half QB. This is the best response function of the player A. And likewise, this will be the best response function of the player B. Okay, we found the best, the Nash equilibrium by solving these two best response functions, and then we get this is the Nash equilibrium. Okay, so if I'm drawing this, you're gonna find this as well. So, well, this is exactly the same as the table I just draw in the previous lecture. The only difference is that origin, I put the origin here. Okay? In the previous case, I put the origin 0 and 0 is here, upper left side. But here now I put that origin 0 and 0, left bottom side. Okay? So that is 0 and 0. Instead of drawing a table, now I'm just putting here as a space. Same. Now I'm giving you the best response function. Okay, this is the player A's the best response function. If player B is choosing 0, then player A will choose 35. If player A is choosing 0, then QB will be 70. What it means, as the QB is the amount of the good that player B will sell will increase from 0 to 70. Following that, the best response for the player A is decreasing from 35 to 70. I'm going to use the different color. Okay, I'm going to use different color. I already did so that you can follow this. So this is the best response of player A. And if the player B is producing more than 70, then probably, for example, if you're putting here 80, then there will be 40, so that at the end of that number gives us a -5. But it doesn't make sense. Why? Because QA is the amount of the good that player will sell in the market. It should be positive numbers or 0, so that it should be 0. Okay? So that is the best response. Again, what is the best response? If you remind the table, I drew the underline, representing that if the other player is choosing this strategy, for that strategy, this strategy is best for those player. To represent that, I drew the underline. This point on this, along with the best response line, that exactly represent that underline. But here are too many strategies, continuous strategies, so that I'm drawing that underline as this continuous line. Okay? So this is the best strategy of player A. Likewise, player B will have the best response. Okay, player A is producing 0, then player B will choose 35. That is the best strategy for the player B. Now, if the player A is producing more than 0, and if it gets to 70, then the best response for the player B is 0. If player A is producing more than 70 units, then it's better not to produce at all. So this is the best response of player B. Especially it represents this line and it represents this line. Okay, and we know that this is an equilibrium, Nash equilibrium, and which gives us 70 over 2, 70 over 2. Okay? Well, that's nice, but think about this. This is a Nash equilibrium, but at the same time, we may use IESDS to get to that equilibrium. What is the IESDS? As long as you are rational, probably if there is a dominated strategy, then a rational player won't choose that strategy. If I'm correctly believe that you are rational and you have a dominated strategy, then I will believe that you are not going to choose that dominated strategy. That by eliminating dominated strategy, what remains is called an equilibrium based on IESDS. Okay, so let's find an equilibrium based on IESDS. So think about this. I'm the second player. I'm the player B. Okay, I'm not going to use Nash equilibrium. I'm using an IESDS solution concept. If I'm from player B's view perspective, if the player A is rational, right? And I correctly believe that player A is rational based on common knowledge, probably player A won choose more than 35, right? This is all player A's best response. No matter what kind of strategy I'm using, player A won't choose more than 35, right? All the time, better strategy exists. So those strategy for player A is dominated strategy. I mean, strictly dominated strategy. So that player A won't choose more than 35, right? This area will be gone. If the player A is rational, then this player won't choose, more than 35, right? And player B will correctly believe that player A is rational, so that player A won't choose more than 35. So in their mind, they can eliminate this space at all, right? Now, return to the player B's, view. No, player A's view. Okay, now I'm player A. If I believe that player A is rational and if I believe that player A is rational, if I believe that player B is rational, and if I believe that player B believes that player A is rational, then player A will believe that player B won't choose player A. Player A won't choose more than 35. Okay? Then player A will believe that player B will not choose more than 35 and less than some number. I don't know what number it is, but this will not be chosen, and also this area won't be chosen as well. Player A's perspective. Okay? Now return to the player B again. Based on this nested rationality, we already assumed that with using common knowledge. So with this common knowledge, if we return to the player B's perspective, okay, I'm player B. If I'm looking at player A's behavior, player A won't choose less than this and more than this. Now change the tones to the player A. From the player A's perspective, player B won't choose more than this and less than this. If we are doing keep again and again, we are converging to this point. Okay? If we keep doing, so if we are applying this IESDS concept, we are converging to that point. So that equilibrium 70/2 and 70/2 is an equilibrium based on IESDS. Okay, this is an equilibrium. This is a Nash equilibrium. At the same time, this is an equilibrium by IESDS. Okay? So, what I want to argue here is that this equilibrium concept is very strong equilibrium. If this is a Nash equilibrium, but one of the equilibrium by IESDS, then we cannot narrow down. What it means, we cannot narrow down IESDS equilibrium enough to Nash equilibrium. In that case, we need more assumptions to argue that this will be happened. However, in this case, ISDS equilibrium is the same as Nash equilibrium, so that without any additional assumptions, we can argue that as long as we are rational, and all the players believe that others rational, and again, that we will get into that point. Okay? So I'm going to pause it here to erase the screen. Okay, so in the Krunoff game, we can find a unique equilibrium based on Nash equilibrium as well as IESDS. I recommend you fully understand all the variations, all the derivation from this, because we may use this model later a lot. I think so. So here is one more thing. So Krunoff game 3. Everything is the same. The demand curve is 100 minus Q, and marginal cost is 30. Okay, 30. And the best response is that QA is 35 minus 1/2 QB. I'm putting here a star symbol to represent that this is the best response function. And this is QB, 35 minus a half QA. Okay? So we know that the best Nash equilibrium QA, QB equals 70/2, 70/2. Is it correct? 35? I think the number is wrong. I need to check. Okay, I'm going to pursue it up. Okay, I returned. This is the 3. Okay, so when I was explaining IESDS equilibrium, it should be 70/3, 70/3, not the 2. All the other things are the same. Okay, this Krunoff game we used so far. Now think about one thing. So this is the result when these two players A and B are competing with each other in a market. Okay, but if they are rational, maybe they may find a better way to get more profit. One way is that they may collude with each other, and 2B act as if they are just one monopoly firm. Okay? Even though in the market there are two players, A and B, if they decide to collude with each other and becomes act as if they are one monopoly firm. Monopoly. And then they just try to divide the profit evenly between those two players. Okay? Let's check what is happened when they are acting as if one monopoly. So here is just it, and they are dividing exactly profit. So think about this monopoly firm, which is consists A and B. Then this monopoly firm also just try to maximize its profit. Its profit consists of price times Q minus 30Q, right? 30 is the marginal cost, and Q, the reason why I'm putting here the market quantity amount, the amount of the good in a market because there is just one firm, okay? But we know that half of the amount comes from the firm A, the other half of the amount will come from all the firm B. That will be happened later because they collude, okay? So also we know that price will be changing depending on the market quantity or monopoly firm's quantity. Then that should be 100 minus Q times Q minus 30Q. Because they are common, it will be simplified 70 minus Q times Q. This will be the monopoly firm's profit. And this firm, monopoly firm, also try to maximize its profit so that we will take a derivative if we are doing that. Partial phi, actually it should be delta phi over delta Q. By applying the chain rule, we take derivative the first term, that will be minus Q remained plus 70 minus Q times 1. So 70 minus 2Q equals 0, so that the optimal quantity level is 35. Okay? So that is the monopoly firm's optimal quantity, which maximizes its profit. So that, let's look at what's the price, the market price. If the quantity is 35, the market price is 65. By putting Q here, we will get P here. Okay? By the way, if they are acting independently, then this will be their quantity level. So the market quantity is 2/3 times 70. Then market price is 100 times minus 140. So that is 170/3. That is the market price. Right? And here we also can calculate one player's profit in this chrono market. Think about it. Profit of player A and player B are the same. The quantity level is 70/3, right? The market price is 170/3 minus 30. This is the marginal cost and the price and the quantity for each player. So that is that will be 90/3. So that is 70/3 times 80/3. Right? Yes. So that at the end of the day, one player, one firm's profit will be 5600, 5600/9. That is the one firm's profit. Okay? Now in this case, each firm will produce a half of this monopoly firm because they decide to collude. After deciding the optimal quantity of the good, they will produce only half of them. So QA and QB will be 35/2, right? And the price here at the time 65. What we can see here is that this is around 50, 6 comma number. As you can see, surely this number is less than 65. The price is increased when they are colluding each other. So in this case, let's calculate one firm's profit. One firm is producing 35/2. And the price is 65 minus, marginal cost. Okay? Then that will be 35 over 2, and this is 35 again. And what is this number? 35 square. I cannot see what number it is, so I need to use a calculator. So one is that 35 square over 2, and the other one is 6500 over Q. So I'm going to proceed here. Okay, I found one mistake here. Well, when I'm calculating the number, market price, that will be 300 minus 140, so it should be 160. Okay? Anyway, the number is very close to 50 something, and that is 160. Then 30 is the same as 90 over 3, so that, the number in the parentheses will be 70 over 3. So at the end of the day, that number is 70 over 3 square. If I'm calculating the number, is 544. Not 4. 544. Okay? And when I calculated the number, that is exactly 612.5. So again, what I want to say here is that when they are playing this Chrono game, that means these two firms independently choose how much they will produce and sell in the market. They don't have any connection between those two firms. They just try to choose, independently in the market. Then, based on their best belief or expectation about others' behavior, they will choose this quantity level, and the market price will become to be this, and this number is very close to 53.3 and so on. You continuing 53, okay, and then their individual profit is around 544. That is their profit. Now returning to that point, well, that is their profit. But for these two firms, they just try to find a better way to get more profit like this. So one solution they found is that they becomes as if they are one firm. Okay, they collude. Then it's like there is this one monopoly firm in the market, and they just try to decide the best quantity. That is 35. And then they divide the quantity amount of the good supplied, and they will divide that number evenly. So each firm will produce 35 over 2. That is exactly less than 70 over 3. Okay? Because the number is the same as 70 over 4. 70 over 4 is smaller than 70 over 3. Okay? This is the same. So anyway, they are producing less. By doing that, they can make the market price higher than before. Previously, it was like a 53 around, but now it becomes 65. So market price is increased. So by doing that, they can get 612.5 as their profit. By comparing that profit, you can confirm that colluding is better for them. Okay? So for them, colluding is one choice they can choose to increase their profit. It is not caught by the government, they have an incentive to collude. Okay? So it is really happened in a real world. However, at the same time, in a real world, these types of colluding is not continuing forever. Sometimes it is discovered by themselves, or sometimes it is caught by the government. But at the same time, if we look at carefully this system, you're going to see that each player all the time has an incentive to deviate from this colluding. All the time they have an internal willingness to deviate from this colluding so that this colluding cannot go forever. I'm going to show that here. Look at this carefully. Okay. Well, if you are staying here, if you decide to produce that amount of good in a market, then think about, for example, from player A's view. Player A, if player A is rational enough, this player A may find a better way to increase its profit from here to here, and it may find a better way to increase its profit. How can it do that? Well, the best option, player A at this moment, is to deceive player B, as if player A is keep producing 35/2. Deceive, and then if player A is adjusting, then player A has a chance to increase its profit. If player A successfully deceive player B and make player B keep producing at the level of 35/2, player A has a better production option, optimal option to increase its profit, because the best response function is this. Based on this best response function, if player A can make player B keep producing at that monopoly firm's colluding quantity level, a half times 35/2, that is 3/4 times 35. So 105/4. That is another quantity level. Okay? That is the best response function, best response for the company A. As long as the company B stick to that production level, then we can calculate the market price. 100 minus 35/2 minus 105/4. I'm calculating that number, so I'm pressing here a little bit. Okay, I just use the time to calculate the number. So in that case, the market price turns to be 56.25. Okay, market price is decreased a little because player A is producing more. Then what is the player A's profit? I mean, this is the quantity level of the player A, and then this is the market price calculated here, and marginal cost, and then numbers is 689.1. What you can see here is that that is much greater than when they are colluding. What does that mean? Well, when they are competing with each other, they have an incentive to collude, to have more profit. But at the same time, if they are getting to that collusion, they also have an incentive to break that collusion to get more profit, right? So that, I mean, in order to do that, when the player A is changing its production from 35/2 to 105/4, probably market price will be changing from here 65 to 56.25, but it's likely that it takes time for the player B to perceive that market price is deviated from collusion level's market price. If it takes a time, then over time player A has an incentive to deviate from that collusion. Once this collusion is broken, collapsed, then player B also just try to compete with the player A, and they are returning to this Chrono game again, and they will get this profit as a result. So in these things is all the time happening in the real world. You're gonna see that there were a lot of collusions. One representative one is that OPEC colluded to increase the market price of the oil, right? A long time ago, 1970 or late 1970 or early 1980, something like that. Also, they did that a lot, but it didn't go forever. One day, one country just deviated from that the collusion level of the quantity they decided, and to produce more gas. Why? All the time they have an incentive to deviate from the collusion. By doing that, they can increase their profit. Okay? This is the basic story about the Chrono game. Chrono game is very famous in economics and management, so that I recommend you fully understand what's going on this Chrono game from the beginning to here. This whole story should be understood wholly as a whole. So that I'm stopping here. Let's continue in the later lecture.